How will Barcelona play without Lionel Messi? That is how they will play. It may not always be pretty, but it's about overcoming adversity. It's about dragging out a victory when it's least expected. Bayer Leverkusen, all credit to them, started off very well. Ter Stegen and Luis Suarez get into a little tiff about whose fault it was for the first goal. A cross came in, was nodded underneath again. He was blaming Suarez, saying that he didn't obviously mark the opposing player who was trying to get in and amongst Ter Stegen's space. But why is Matthew sitting on the front post? And for me, I mean, Barcelona aren't exactly the tallest of teams. Why have you got one of your biggest players on the front post instead of marking someone in the box? Kind of goes beyond me. And I think it just emphasises that Ter Stegen is not fully confident inside the box. Of course, he's had some few blunders against Celta Vigo. I just don't know if he's focusing at the moment. But anyway, he got let out because I think he should have, if he was going to come for that, he needs to be stronger. It's in and around his 6-yard box. But if he's going to blame one of his players, Luis Suarez isn't exactly the ideal candidate for man marking in the box, so that's up to him there. But anyway, they bounced back from this. Bayer Leverkusen, for me, were the better team for a majority of the first half, moving the ball well. They looked basically like they could definitely add a second or a third. Barcelona always looked dangerous on the counter-attack. There was points in the first half where there was so much space, sloppy passing from either side, and teams were counter-attacking one after the other. It was very enjoyable for it only being 1-0 in the half. And then most people, of course, took to Twitter talking about, this is Barca without Messi. They don't have anyone with that spark. They don't have anyone to do this. There's been plenty of times where Lionel Messi has not exactly performed, but Barcelona drag the victory out. And it's because they're used to winning. They have that winning mentality. And I always felt, although I thought Bayer Leverkusen were playing well, that they could bring it back. And Sergio Roberto was a man who pounced on a deflected shot. The keeper couldn't hold it, and it falls right to him. He puts it into the back of the net. And then there's a moment of just brilliance, a moment that reminds everyone that when Lionel Messi is injured, of course it's a tough loss. But when you have someone like Luis Suarez with a one-touch finish like that, undoubtedly one of the best finishers of the ball in the world for me when he's in form. Of course, it's hard to compete with Lewandowski, which I talked about in the last clip, but puts that into the top corner, and Munir does a great job of finding way inside the box, moves it out to the edge of it, and Luis Suarez with the first touch finish. And you see how much it meant to all the Barcelona players, all involved in the celebration. Luis Enrique going crazy on the touchline, and it's because Bayer Leverkusen are no mugs. Coming to the Nou Camp and playing that fearlessly in the first half has to be admired, but Barcelona always look dangerous for me on the counter-attack. And let's move over to teams that just can't seem to overcome adversity. Porto. Jose Mourinho going back to the team in which I so begrudgingly remember him beating Celtic in a certain UEFA Cup final before going on to win the Champions League next year. Great achievement for Porto. And it seems like his club just didn't want to show him the same respect because they just attacked Chelsea, attacked. They didn't believe that Chelsea are the same team that would come into a place like Porto maybe last year and walk away with a 1-0 victory. They went out, took the lead early. Ivanovic, beaten inside, exactly as I talk about whenever I talk tactics or I talk Chelsea as a whole. Ivanovic is not strong coming inside. I'll emphasise the strong on my Scottish here because he's not strong coming inside. And it's so easy to understand that that's the way that you have to go when you're playing against Ivanovic. Many teams have started to do it. I will mention this again. Harry Kane exploited it last year before more teams didn't. I think Chelsea actually backed him up more because they realised Ivanovic is a good defender down the line. But this season, he just seems to be getting beaten far too easily. Then Mako nips in front of the defender with a feather-like header, just glances it, and it somehow beats the keeper at the near post. Chelsea, of course, without Courtois, are looking at himself like that is just a criminal goal to give away. The defender is blocking him. Obviously, it's hard to see because I believe it might have been Mikel who was following the run, and he just nips in front of the Mako and gets that little glance on it. And he did very well to get there, but the keeper should not be getting beat by that speed at his near post. He has to be more aware of that. And then Porto hold on to a Chelsea who are now facing a defeat in the Champions League, who are struggling against Newcastle at the weekend, turmoil in the Premier League. That's why I think it's entertaining. You'll never hear me say it's the best league in the world for quality. You'll hear me saying it's the most entertaining league in the world, and therefore for me, it's the best in terms of watching and what I want to see. And again, emphasised by a team like Arsenal at home to Olympiacos. Losing to Olympiacos, for me, it was encompassed in the final goal for Olympiacos. Mertesacker looks like he was running in quicksand trying to mark the striker as he went inside the box. Can't get in front of him. It's nipped in. It's an easy finish. Olympiacos are in dreamland. They've just beaten one of the best teams, or supposedly one of the best teams in England, at home. And I'm not trying to criticise these teams just for the sake of doing it. Like, I do like the Premier League, and I want to see teams from every aspect of Europe do well so that it's a very competitive Champions League. But I don't understand what goes on with Arsenal. And you see Arsene Wenger's face at the end, and it's just a face of just disenjoyment. He doesn't look like he's enjoying his time there. He looks as if it's taking its wear on him, and this is going to pose the question again. If Arsenal crash out of the Champions League, if they don't do well in the Premier League this season, what has to happen? Because I talked about this with the True Geordie. Arsene Wenger is a legend there. He restored Arsenal to times that they could never have imagined seeing again with the Invincibles and how good they were and that mentality that they've built around their football. Arsenal were not always that fast-flowing, tiki-taka style football in England. But there comes a time where that football just has to be looked at and taken aside because there's no trophies there. There's no real, I would say, drive for people to want to see Arsenal other than want to see some attractive football with no real finishing product. And it has to be questioned whether Arsene Wenger will be around next year. I think the best parting of ways for both parties would be for a mutual agreement. You're going to either retire or you think that your own time is up. I don't think it would be right to fire someone like Arsene Wenger. But that question has to be asked, and I want our Arsenal fans and everyone else from TYT Sports to share what you guys think in the comment section below. Check out our clip. We talked about Bayern Munich and all the other results, gave you a breakdown of that. You don't have to go to Fox, you don't have to go to ESPN, you don't have to go anywhere to see the Champions League coverage. You come right here to TYT Sports and we'll break it down for you without any filters.